I think we got it.
I think we're working. We can't tell yet. It says we're live.
Yay.
Complete new location, brand new setup today. What a learning experience. We've been hopping.
Cheryl's been hopping. I've been just going, ooh, ah, look at those plants. Ooh, ah, look at those plants.
Oh, it is
Ooh.
so easy to see too, right? I mean, you look around, for anybody who lives in central Alberta, you're probably familiar with the Blue Grass Garden Nursery Centers and Sod Farms. Well, I'll tell you what, it smells like a tropical rainforest in here this morning. We had snow overnight, so it's a little bit overcast, but the humidity and the plants, it's just like being in a sauna. Oh my word.
It's wonderful. And yeah, I passed the snowplow on the way here.
I followed one. He was standing in front of me.
So hence why we're still wearing sweaters in the middle of April.
Exactly.
But anyways, it's all good. So here we are, Fun Shui with Anita and Cheryl. Live on location, Blue Grass Sod Farms, Central Alberta. And we are excited to be here because we want to talk plants and there's so many plants around us.
Oh, and so many choices too.
I want to, I already was like, okay, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this one.
And how much time do we have?
Well, we don't. So you know what? Let's just pull one card today.
Okay, one card already flew out. And as usual, we're taking our card and the topic from Tara Catherine Collins' Feng Shui Personal Paradise card deck. Woohoo! Woohoo! Our friend, mentor, teacher extraordinaire. And
of course, we wear funny glasses because we want to bring your awareness to the energetic signature of all of those things that, you have in your home.
Absolutely. Looking at it through a new perspective, through your Feng Shui eyes.
And you know what?
We like to have fun too. So this just gives us an excuse to dress up and be silly.
And
we're okay with that.
It feels kind of weird, but anyways, if I sneeze, I have a place for all the boogers to go.
I love it. So one card already popped out this morning, and it's perfect.
It is.
Because of course it's perfect. We don't orchestrate this. Spirit does all the work. So the card number is 47, which is, of course, then a master number 11. Go figure.
Go figure.
And it's the wealth and prosperity. Which is perfect. So when we talk about the bagua and in essential Feng Shui, we use the bagua in a non-directional approach.
Right.
Meaning you walk into a space and where, with their hand gesture, would the wealth and prosperity corner be? Anita?
Walking into any room through the doorway, you go, put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your left hand in,
and you point your finger.
And you shake it all about. That's where your wealth and prosperity corner is. Woohoo!
Woo!
So yeah, put your left hand out, and then whatever is in the
that
left
area.
hand, that's the wealth and prosperity area.
And it doesn't matter how big, so the macro, the space is. So we're in a massive greenhouse.
Yes.
If we utilize the door, the front entrance to the whole building, because this runs for I don't know how long.
Oh, it's huge.
The greenhouse's space, because I know the building, is the wealth and prosperity is up in that far left-hand corner, 3/4 of the way through. Oh, we're sideways. Oh, well, doesn't that just add to it?
I just went on. Here we are.
All right. Well,
we're doing the live thing with the phone, and so we didn't.
So why don't you hold the phone while I readjust this and talk about some of the plants? Because this isn't working so well.
Okay. So here's when you pulled that card, wealth and prosperity.
Yes.
I have a plant right here by my feet. It's one of my favorites, and and this would be a perfect plant to put in your wealth and prosperity area.
What is it? And the telltale giveaway.
Anybody know what this is? I'm sure. I can't see your comments at the moment, but I'll check back. So this one is called the Aetherium, or the flamingo flower of love, hence the heart-shaped leaf. And this here, this is actually the flower, believe it or not. This is actually a modified leaf if you wanted to know, you know,
yeah, a little bit more Latin
botanically.
and botanical.
Yeah, botanically. So this is actually the flower, and this is actually called the Spathaphylum, and we're still going sideways.
I just thought maybe. Okay, so everybody who's ever told me that you have to run your phone horizontally, lied.
So yeah, this is the Aetherium, and so what I love about the Aetherium, Cheryl, is that these you know, modified leaves, these bracts on the flower, they will actually bloom. You know, this color, it's going to stay for, you know, months. I'm going to say months, easily months, and then when they're done, they're going to remain as this beautiful green houseplant.
Glossy.
They still have nice heart-shaped leaves on them. So if you were to put this in a, like say, a gold pot, right, in your wealth and prosperity area of the kitchen, would be lovely.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or
because it does need sunlight.
yeah. Or, you know, even if you had some nice light coming into the bedroom.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, that would be super great.
Well,
because
plus
that would
the red is and the hearts.
Yeah, it would enhance both that, you know, relationship.
Double duty.
As well as the wealth and prosperity.
So let's talk for a second about these air roots, or the roots that you always see on these. Can you get that close enough to the camera?
I think so.
Yeah, you betcha. Perfect.
There we go.
So we're talking about these up here.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And lots of people will try to bury them.
Yep.
You can.
You can.
It's not a big to-do. But remember, these were a tropical, so a rainforest. And what they would do in the that's how they're finding their support.
Yep.
And they're anchoring themselves.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do to enhance with these is a ground cover. So I love using crystals as my ground cover. So if we're talking wealth and prosperity, crystals, amethysts, smaller ones, and if you can get them in, you know, little round shapes or something even purple in that color, if you're coordinating with a gold pot, having a little ground cover on top of the plants is just another addition. It's aesthetically pleasing, but your intention behind it all is what is super, super important.
Yeah, so love the Aetherium. Now, as far as caring for the Aetherium, so here's a little rule of thumb, okay? If the plant leaf is thicker or heavier, then it requires less water, okay? And it can withstand more sunlight or direct sun, heat, that kind of thing, okay? Now, with this plant, the best thing to do with it is to absolutely let it dry out. So the pot is, you know, bone dry, and you could actually see the soil start to come away from the edge of the pot. That would be the best thing for this plant. And then what you need to do is take it and just put it in the sink and water it thoroughly. And that's a mistake a lot of people make with a lot of their plants. They actually kill their plants with kindness, too much water. So that's a good rule of thumb for that one.
So while you're holding that, let's talk transplanting.
Yeah, let's talk
because we've had a few images from a few people with questions, and what we've noticed with some of our programs and some of our clients is empty pots filled with dirt around the house, or a pot that's massively, like 12 inches in diameter, and the plant and its root system is in, or a 4 or 5 inch pot like this one. This is in a 5-inch pot, I think.
No, that's a 6-inch.
Okay, so anyway.
So this is a 6-inch pot, right, that the plant comes in. So they'll come 4, 6, 8, 10-inch. Typically in your green, you know,
plastic pot.
And then of course, you know, then you want to put them in a decorative pot. That's kind of our thing, right? When you're bringing them in the home. So then this is a 6-inch decorative pot, right?
Big difference between decorative and transplanting.
So now you could just simply leave the green pot, right? Not transplant it, and just place it in this beautiful decorative pot. However, what people tend to do, Cheryl, is they go, oh, well, you know what?
It's going to grow.
It's going to grow. So I'm going to buy this 8-inch decorative pot, and I'm going to transplant my plant in there, okay? Because they think it needs the space. Well, here's the thing. Number one, when a plant is flowering, like this one, you do not want to transplant a plant when it's flowering, especially, I'm going to call it an indoor plant. Tropical indoor plants flowering, you do not want to transplant them when they're flowering, okay? So when they're done flowering, now the plant is always going to let you know or give you an indication of when it's outgrown its home, okay? So its home is where the roots are, that pot size. And so when the plant stops producing new growth, you can see on here there's some new growth happening. There's a new flower coming. There's a,
They might not be able to see that because it's kind of low.
There's a new leaf coming right here, right? So the plant is quite happy.
It's very happy.
It's producing some new leaves, some new flowers, and so it says, hey, I'm happy down here in my little pot size. And so what happens when you take a 6-inch plant and you pot it to an 8 or a 10-inch and you repot it into something like that?
So you're going from this to this. Can you see this massive difference?
So then the plant says, oh my gosh, I have to fill up the space. And you know, it's kind of like people, right? They get a bigger house.
And they fill it up.
They get a bigger house. They
love
get
this
more
analogy.
cupboards. They get more, you know, more space in there, you know, and then they go, oh, okay, well, look at all this space I have. I got to fill it up. That's what the plant does. The plant goes, oh, look at all this space. And so the plant puts all of its energy and attention into growing new roots so it can fill up that bottom space. And so then what happens is then it becomes out of balance, really. And then it's not producing any new leaves on top of it because all of its energy is going down here. So just like we teach, balance and harmony, right?
Absolutely.
There's got to be that beautiful balance in between there.
Oh my word, you should see what the girls are moving in here.
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus and braided.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
The trunks are braided. Beautiful.
Okay.
Anyway, we got sidetracked because we are live in a greenhouse that's functioning and it's open for business. So if you hear background noise,
I'm going to take these off for a minute so I can see
so,
better.
But let's also talk, going too large for the plant. And sometimes what happens is then people want to water.
Yes.
And what the roots can't keep up with all the water and they become waterlogged and they wind up rotting.
Yes.
So going into too large of a pot for the plant is its decline. Let's just say the beginning of its decline.
Yeah, but also let's talk about that pot. Let's bring that one back.
Okay.
So this decorative pot, right?
Does not allow drainage.
There's no drainage. No drainage here, okay? So if you were just to not transplant something and put this pot in here, perfectly fine. Just don't water this plant in that pot. Take it out, put it in your sink, thoroughly water it, put it back in here. It'll drip dry. If you want to water it while it's sitting in its utilitarian pot inside the decorative pot, then what you want to do is you want to put a layer of gravel in the bottom, okay? About an inch, inch and a half, something like that. And so what that does is it'll keep the excess water away from the plant's roots, because the roots then would become waterlogged and they need oxygen, right? Just like the
rest of us do.
The leaf of the plant, the roots also need oxygen. So if they are submerged in water, they're not going to get any oxygen.
So you know what? We've talked a lot about one plant.
Yes.
And our time is going.
I know. Let's go. Okay.
And we have like umpteen plants
But
around
I know
us.
you wanted to talk about the potting and watering. And
I
if
did
you
want
have
to talk
some
about
questions,
that. Yeah,
then
for
hey,
sure.
give us that. Okay, so
And good morning to everybody that's joining us, by the way. We'll take a glance at, so my problem is when I put these on, I take my glasses off so I can't read squat. So we're gonna set the Aetherium down.
So in the garden center, they have these beautiful gardenias. And the scent, the flower, the scent on them
fragrance.
is absolutely amazing. So there is, you know, obviously, you can come down to Bluegrass today and pick up a beautiful gardenia.
Oh, and they have some sales going on too, by the way.
And we're going to show you what some of those are. So the only problem with the gardenia is
Yes.
when you take them from your garden center or your flower shop, well, when they're in bloom, because likely that's how you'll get them.
And that's what attracts you to purchasing them.
Yeah, because of the beautiful scent.
Okay.
You're gonna get them home, and within a day or two, the flowers are gonna fall off. They're gonna drop off, okay? And the reason that happens is because the gardenia, just like the ficus, which I'm gonna show you. Actually, you could hold that.
I can hold this, yeah.
So the ficus,
100%.
the ficus and the gardenia are two plants that are kind of finicky, okay? So they could be likened to husbands sometimes. In that they don't want any change.
They don't
They
like
just want to
change.
sit there
And be
in
the
one
same.
spot
And not move.
and be the same, okay? So the ficus, which is this is called the Ficus
Ficus
Benjamina,
Benjamina.
yes, which is
Look at the roots coming out of this one. Will
Yeah.
need a transplant.
possibly, and the gardenia. So what happens with both of them? So this one, when it gets moved to a new location, it'll drop some of its leaves because it's not happy. It'll say, "What? You moved me? I don't like it.
Throw a temper tantrum.
I don't like to be by a draft or a window or anything
It's
like
not
that."
as humid here.
It's just like, put me over there and leave
me alone.
And the gardenia, same thing. It likes to just, so when you take it home, chances are some of those beautiful blooms that you purchased it for are going to fall off. So good thing to do is to purchase one that has very little open, but has some buds, and their chances are when you take it home, just leave it, just find a beautiful spot for it and leave it. And again, what's the rule of thumb on this one for watering? Because it's a little bit thinner leaf.
Thinner leaf.
Right.
So needs a little bit more water.
And less heat, right? But in order for it to bloom, it still needs that 6 to 8 hours of
day,
direct
yeah.
sunlight per day.
Okay, so hang on. Well, before you put that, so give them a shot at some of the foliage. So quite often when you buy a plant, especially a fig, you'll notice the spots. The leaves get spotty.
Yep.
An old wives' tale used to be, and I want to crush this.
Yep, you crush it.
Use
I'm gonna
some
go grab-
mayonnaise to polish the leaves. Is right.
Okay, I'm going over here. I'll be right back.
What you don't want to do is use mayonnaise. Plants live in nature. They're a nature being. Mayonnaise does not grow on Mother Gaia. Okay? Water does, humidity does, and just a soft cloth wiping the leaves, because that, as being as
Just
a bit of an organizer as me,
Yeah.
the spots would drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's
just
just
a soft, damp cloth.
just calcium. That's all it is.
Yeah,
It's just
but
a little bit of water.
For some
Yeah,
people, it's unattractive.
exactly.
And I've worked in places where you care for plants as a business, and so that was part of it. Just
Yeah.
a soft cloth. Please, no mayonnaise.
No mayonnaise.
No mayonnaise.
Yeah, just
'Kay.
soft cloth and water.
Okay, moving on. We're going to talk
Okay,
about...
yeah, we got lots to talk about. Okay, what about this one, Cheryl?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So, was it a week or two ago when we were
think we
talking
did,
about
yeah.
poisonous plants? Well, this lovely, and oh my God, they're on sale this week. Like
Yep.
seriously here, if you need some plants.
Yeah, and this is what's called a 2-gallon pot.
Yes.
So it'd be probably equivalent to a 12-inch decorative pot
Yeah.
size, maybe a little bit larger. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are on sale, and this one is a different bark here. I like playing in the leaves.
Yeah,
But
they're-
we had talked about pets and the poison, and what it is the sap in the leaves.
Yep.
Okay. Variegated leaves like this. That's also a telltale of kind of sun exposure that
Yep.
they like. So how about we explain that? I gotta
Sure.
set this down because this little
Okay.
sucker is heavy. No,
Yep.
you go ahead.
Yeah, so with the Dieffenbachia, well, and there are some other plants. They've got some beautiful crotons down
Yeah.
the way and stuff like that. So whenever there's some variegation on the leaf, then you're going to, the more intense sunlight that you have coming through the window, then you're going to get more variegation or variety. And the less light or filtered light that you might have, then it's going to be more green and not so variegated or enhanced. Let's call it that. Okay.
So that's also an indicator of what kind of lighting and exposure. All right.
Okay, this is great for wealth and prosperity.
This is awesome for the wealth and prosperity. And why would that be, Anita?
Well, again, so when we're talking things that symbolize wealth and prosperity to us, the subconscious mind, has those programs. And so for, a lot of times we reference gold or the color red, things that activate or vibrant and relate to our subconscious association
100%.
with wealth.
Yep.
So this is called the Jade Plant. And because its leaves are round, right? And and there's lots of them. So they really are like a coin, right? So just imagine that the jade plant, each one of these leaves is a, $1 coin or
Toonie.
something.
We're in Canada. It's a toonie.
It's a toonie tree. And so again, it symbolizes that good fortune and prosperity because of
The shape.
the shape. And it's also a very longevity plant,
Yes.
right? So
And they
that's
also
part
don't
of
like
it.
getting moved around.
No, and these ones, and a lot of times anything like this and this one, which are succulents, right? So succulents have a lot of, really heavy leaves.
Thicker.
And
Leathery, I
they're
like
not
calling
going to grow as fast as another plant per
Right.
se.
Exactly.
And so they actually like to be root bound. So you're better off when you're buying, one of these plants in one of these utilitarian pots. You're better off to leave it, just leave it the way it is.
Leave it alone.
Pop it in a decorative pot, put a little bit of rock on the bottom, and then let the thing dry out. Just think about, where in nature
They grow.
does it grow originally?
Where does a cactus grow?
Yeah.
A succulent grow?
Yeah,
Typically.
they don't grow in a wet
Rainforest.
rainforest. No, they grow in some place that's drier heat.
Exactly. All right. Where are we at for time? Oh, we're coming to the top of the hour. We're doing pretty good.
We're doing pretty good. Okay,
We
this
may be
is
a little
really
longer
cool.
today. I love. This is fun.
Yeah, isn't that? Look at that.
Here, so I'll bring it a little
It's
closer.
beautiful.
I love the textures and the curl and
Yeah.
so fun. And this is a new plant, like a new
for us.
Aspolinium nidus.
it's called a-
crested Japanese.
And I'm thinking it's looks in the fern family.
Yeah.
Although it kind of looks like the Boston fern and maybe the kale got into a little party at night and we're doing some things.
They were doing a little bit of
I
hybridizing.
think the fern and the kale, that's what it looks like to me. The fern and the kale kind of went, ooh.
Let's have a party.
You're kind of cute. You want to hang out with me? And then this is what happened, a
Hybridization.
crested Japanese fern. And so again, this one, it's not fern, like the leaf is heavier. So it's not like your Boston fern.
No.
So I would think with this one that you'd want it to dry out in between watering. And then possibly if you're putting it in that decorative pot, maybe a little bit more gravel on the bottom and then put some water in the gravel.
Yes.
So then I'm
glad you brought that up. It creates a little atmosphere of humidity
Yes.
around them, and that's really important with ferns. Boston ferns especially.
Yep.
Some of the taller palms.
Yep.
That think of their natural habitat. And always they look so absolutely outstanding in greenhouses. That's because of the humidity. And typically our houses in North America anyway are very dry.
Yep.
And that's where you'll see a lot of browning on the tips, browning on the leaves, is lack of humidity. Some
Yeah.
people will mist.
Yep, you can do that too, just a little misting bottle. I love that.
Cool. Got an African violet down there. Let's talk about that a little bit.
You talk about that one, and then I'm going to grab one of these other ones behind us after.
Okay, so African violets, different foliage, and you'll notice the almost like little hairs. That's one of the reasons they tell you don't get the foliage wet on African violets, because those little hairs hold the moisture, and that can cause some rotting. They love flowering, and again, this is another one that flowers great when it's root bound, like a Christmas cacti. They love to be root bound when they flower. It progresses. Oh boy, I'm getting sidetracked on that beauty.
Yeah, and you know, these guys love an east window. They love the morning sun. They love the morning sun. So if you have an African violet that hasn't been blooming for you, you know, hasn't rebloomed, then stick it in the morning sun and it'll be, it'll be so happy.
Let's talk about food for this one in particular, and flowering plants for a minute. Sorry, I'm doing a little deadheading while I'm at it.
Go ahead.
So it's important to give nutrition to your plants.
Especially when they're flowering.
Especially when they're flowering, if you want them to continue to flower. So you'll see all kinds of fertilizers out there. Greenhouses are going to sell the fertilizer. They're going to sell different mixes of soils. All of that is indicative of the plants. We talked about succulents. Well, succulents don't want to stay in a really heavy, wet, clayey soil.
Right.
That's not how they grow. That's not what their roots like. African violets like a lighter, a little bit more perlite or vermiculite in the soil. So things are a little looser and airy for them. And helping by deadheading, we'll continue with some of the flowering.
That's right. So that deadheading is just pinching off the dead flower. That's all you do. Just like you do a tomato plant or something. You just go in there and just pinch it off with your little pinchers.
Yeah, that's called fingernails for those of us that buy them.
So yeah, plants that are flowering, you want to give them a fertilizer that is, okay, now
Higher in
I'm thinking,
nitrogen,
it's NPK.
phosphorus.
NPKJ, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
Correct.
So,
A little higher in the middle number. That's the easiest way to remember.
yep, there you go. There you go. So
Middle number.
So it might be a 10-15-10
Yeah.
or a 20-40-20 or something like that, right?
Exactly. And follow the instructions and dilute them. So one thing that's very important, and to me, fertilizers are a chemical. More is not better.
No.
More is a waste. So follow the dilution. That's why it's on the containers. Follow the instructions. You're not doing anything but wasting money.
Yeah.
Truthfully, when it comes to chemicals, you can't kill a plant with Roundup faster
Oh.
by a stronger concentration. You're wasting chemical and the environment. You're harming it. So that's just a side note there. I get a little bit passionate about that one. Okay, we got to bring that pink baby in to wrap it up.
To wrap it up. And I also did want to say that for those of you that are doing energetic work, these plants are living. They are living. They are alive, and they will respond to your energy.
100%.
So you know what? Little secret.
100%.
I never used to fertilize anything in my garden or even my houseplants. Instead, I would give them love.
Ah. You also
And
like to stir
Reiki.
your water.
Oh, and the water. Yeah, that's another thing. Okay. Okay.
We can go on for hours, as you can tell, because that's our background.
Sharon says, you girls should do a whole series on this.
Well, and we can,
Okay, so
especially
this,
for the landscape.
okay, just imagine Cheryl and I have our bikinis on,
Sipping
We're
a
in
margarita.
tropical paradise,
Oh.
and this is a Bougainvillea. And so
These are just spectacular.
you are going to see some of these, what we call seasonal tropical plants in your garden centers and greenhouses. Just as we saw those braided hibiscus fly by.
Well, we saw them, they didn't.
Oh yeah, we saw them. And the Bougainvillea.
Yeah.
So here's the kicker with these things. These are seasonal, right?
Note the word.
To bring a burst of color. And this would be great to put outside on your wealth and prosperity area
love
of
and
your
relationships.
right?
Absolutely.
And so what you want to do is note that it's not to be
Seasonal.
put in the ground. If you live in Western Canada, or you live in Eastern US, the northern states,
if
something
you
like
get
that.
minus temperatures,
Yeah.
let's just say that.
Yeah, this is not for you to put
outside.
in the ground. It's for you to leave in the pot
And
enjoy. And this Bougainvillea, they are very, very fast growing.
Yeah.
They love the heat. Hence, again, where do we see them? When we go to
Mexico. And the humidity.
And they just grow like, just crazy.
Crazy.
And they need to be supported with
Yes.
a trellis or something.
Something to climb on.
Yeah, so absolutely purchase them, but do not stick them in the ground. They're great you could put that in your pot in front of your garage,
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Depending if it's, going to suit those temperatures.
And
then-
that lighting and wind and things like that.
You know what,
Because you can imagine.
We would
There are
be,
so many.
we
many
would be
options.
amiss to not talk about these because it is,
Oh, yeah.
we have to bring one of these guys. And I
Can you
think
reach
we
it all
did.
right? We did talk a little bit about
Yeah.
them last week. Look at these beauties.
So
Remember how
yeah.
Anita was teaching you about the anthers?
Yeah.
Not antlers, again,
Yeah.
anthers. So when you look inside, you see them. So, very simply,
Let's reach in.
reach in. You can use a napkin, you can use whatever. I'm just going to use my fingers and pop them off.
Yep, and there we go. And again, you know what? The Easter lily, they are going to prefer to have drier soil than over wet. Okay, because if they're overwatered, then the leaves will start to drop off from the bottom up, and they'll go yellow and drop off. And so just enjoy their blooms. When they're done blooming, just pinch off the bloom, the next bloom will come.
Yep.
And then when they're completely bloomed out, then what you want to do with, just like any other indoor bulb plant that you have brought in, just go and set it. I actually put mine in the garage, and I stop watering them, and I just
Let
let
it
them
go into rest.
and I just let them do its thing, and whatever chlorophyll is left in the green leaves will go and turn into sugar, and it replenishes the bulb source.
Exactly.
So it's going to have a little rest, it's going to get replenished, and then come probably like the end of May, beginning of June, then I would cut off the stalk and whatever's remaining, and then I would take that bulb out of the soil, and I would just let it sit there on a shelf and dry out for a bit. Then I would plant it in my garden.
And really, that's the same instructions if you've got indoor, because sometimes you buy potted spring bulb mixes that have
Hyacinth.
tulips in them, that have hyacinth in them, that have daffodils in them, and crocuses, and you name it. So it's the same concept. Let them retreat. Let them restore the bulb with the sugars, go back into
Yep.
itself, retreat, dry out, and then transplant.
Yep, and you can do
Great
that with
tips.
amaryllis, any of those things, and you can put them out in the garden and then bring them back indoors before you get a frost, before
Exactly.
Jack Frost comes to visit.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna
We just have to finish because the card is number
Yes.
47, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
an 11. And
Oh, yeah.
hello.
Hello.
What are we in? We're in the Easter weekend.
Yeah, which is the master number 11, and it's one of those numbers that a lot of people are starting to see. Interestingly, when I was driving here and I looked down on my speedometer, because the roads, could be a
little
bit
slick this morning.
I was just thinking, oh, I should see how fast I'm going.
And you were doing?
And I was doing
111.
111.
Perfect. Perfect. So it
So-
only goes to show
Yep.
that we're
And-
always connected, whether or
And
not we
yeah,
believe it.
And then that's just that's also a little signal from the universe that says, I got your back.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy,
Masters are always with you.
Happy Easter weekend.
Happy Easter.
And we're gonna pop around, and
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do some fun stuff with Roxanne.
We are, yeah. Roxanne, the social media person here out at Blue Grass, she's excited that the Fun Shui girls are here. So we're gonna go pop around the greenhouse and probably do some shopping, but we also have some little little eggs that we're going to hide all over the greenhouse.
In
So
case-
if you and your family and the children are around this weekend and you're in central Alberta, make a point to come out to Blue Grass, because I'll tell you what, they have some babies here. They have some baby goats, there's some baby chicks to see. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff this weekend. There's their Easter market is going on. And honestly, the Boston ferns are $10. So
Wow.
hello, there's a few going home with me.
I already saw some you know,
Going out the
people,
door.
Yeah, people are here shopping.
100%.
They're wondering
So
what the heck are those.
big shout out
Yep.
to the McEwens, Bruce, Gail McEwen and family, Blue Grass, Doreen and her girls, Anessa and oh my God, Alyssa,
Everybody.
all the staff that are here, Kevin, the manager, and Roxanne that helped us get this all set up.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for letting us come and play.
Show us some love, share this around, and we'll see and we'll comment in a little bit.
Yep. Sounds good.
Bye all.